Hey everyone, Dr. Frunkey here with an awesome new knife console for you on the Skiff Blades Drifter. This is a relatively new model from Skiff Blades. If you go back on my channel, I have at least one video on their knives. I will provide a link down below in the description. These are custom-made knives coming to us from Steve Skiff out of New York. He makes beautiful, awesome custom knives in-house with a combination of awesome CNC work as well as some serious hand crafting going on here. You can check them out at skiffmadeblades.com or on Instagram at skiffmadeblades. I'm going to go ahead and move this out of the frame here so we can talk about this absolutely gorgeous knife. I wanted to say thank you to my good friend Treddy. He has his own YouTube channel at Treddy's Knife Reviews. I will leave a link to his channel down below. He is a good buddy of mine that lives in Switzerland, and unfortunately, some people won't ship outside of the United States. So thank you to Treddy for having this drop shipped to me so I can send it off to him. So what are we looking at here? This is the Drifter model. I have a video on their Accomplice model. I like the names of their knives. They tend to be sort of rebellious in nature. Drifter, Accomplice. There are some other names that are pretty clever, and I really enjoy their naming. But what I am really happy about is that this knife, being their latest model, really shows some amazing progression since the last few knives of theirs that I've handled, and it is absolutely awesome. I'm just going to cut right to the chase and tell you this knife is extremely good, and I am very impressed. So let's go ahead and get some information on this knife here. We'll get some vital signs up front so we know what we're working with. Up front, this blade is looking right at about 3.3 inches. You know, it's a little longer than 3 1/4, maybe just a hair over 3 1/4. Might be right at 3 1/4 inches right there. So you have to know what you're looking at. This is their smaller sort of size knife right here. You're looking at about 7.8, 7 3/4 inches in overall length. Your handle is coming in here at just under 4.5 inches with an effective grip area right at about 3 3/4 inches, 3.8 inches. So it's a nicely sized knife for everyday carry. I'm going to go ahead and bring out another couple of knives here so you can see a size comparison. Here it is next to a Paramilitary 2. I no longer have a Para 3 in the collection, but I do have this smaller Benchmade bug out. So you can see it falls in between the size of the bug out and the Para 3. It's not terribly small, but it's not a large knife. The all titanium construction also keeps it relatively light. I'm going to bring out the scale here. We're going to get some weight on this guy. No significant internal milling going on this model. I might like to see that a bit more in the future. The weight on this comes in at 4.3 ounces, so maybe a little bit heavier than the ideal 1-to-1 ratio of ounces to blade inches that I like to see. However, at that weight, you're not really going to have a huge problem carrying this knife, but it is something to be aware of. Let's go ahead and break this knife down anatomically. Up front is this beautifully done blade of CPM 154 steel. They typically like to use CPM 154. It takes a nice polish, it's relatively easy to work with, and it's a high quality stainless steel that takes a nice edge, and it's very serviceable. It's not as high performance as some of the other steels that are currently available out there. However, in reality, for everyday use, it might be nicer to have a blade that you are able to service a little bit easier depending on your sharpening style. I find CPM 154 to be plenty of steel, and it does very well. The high stainless qualities of it mean that it's great for actual everyday use and carry. This one is done in a Wharncliffe style blade. Most of their other models have been done in drop point style blades or even a clip point almost. This is clearly their own take on a Wharncliffe. It's almost a reverse Tanto shape with the way that they've done this blade edge. It's got a nice attractive top swedge. It's got a nice hollowed primary bevel here, and it is sharpened very evenly and very cleanly across the actual edge of the blade. And the secondary bevel, it came very sharp with a very working sort of toothy edge to it. Those of you that sharpen your own knives will have an appreciation for the difference between a smooth, sort of glassy, polished edge and a toothy working edge. This certainly comes with the latter type of edge. Again, I've mentioned that it is a hollow ground blade with a relatively high hollow, so it does come to be very thin behind the edge. It is a nice performer. If you look at the heel of the blade, you can sometimes get an appreciation for how thinly ground that blade stock is. So speaking of blade stock, I'll go ahead and bring out the calipers and measure this for you. Coming in at 160 thousandths, a very standard blade profile for everyday carry folding knives. So the blade has the logo right here, Skiff Blades. I really like that it's tastefully placed right there, kind of out of the way, but still nicely done. Let's go ahead and move back to the pivot. This is probably my favorite part about the knife, and that is because the Skiff guys make their own ball bearings. Now, this is something that has become very hot in the knife community recently. They sell the bearings. Some other makers are using it in their knives. They're extremely high quality bronze washers with ceramic bearings. They're very unique in terms of their construction quality and their appearance, and they just work really well. Combine that with an absolutely perfect detent, and you get one of the best actions that I've experienced in quite a while on almost any knife. It has very glassy, very smooth action. The detent is crisp, and you can hear it when I deploy that knife, that it is very crisp breakaway. It opens very well. It's going to be very hard to misfire this. If I just get to the minimum load, it still deploys the knife completely. It does not halfway fire. It has this little flipper tab going right here. Although I don't think that this is the most attractive flipper tab, I do think that this could be refined to be a little bit smaller and flow with the lines of the knife a little bit better. It is not difficult to use. It's very comfortable. It's not overly sharp. It's been well chamfered. There is no jimping on it, but it is not necessary. With that curvature, you get nice leverage and it deploys. I might like to see this be a little bit smaller, and then a little, maybe with a tiny jimping on it, so that it would just follow the lines of the knife a little bit, because otherwise the lines are very cohesive on this model, except for the flipper. That is purely an aesthetic thing, and you know, maybe I can encourage them to do that moving forward. The pivot hardware itself, the Skiffs are known for their very nice pivot collar designs. They do various different things. This particular one has a blue titanium large pivot collar with a milled groove on the inside there. Really, really pretty going on there. It's a nice contrast of the silver and the blue with a silver screw. This is the very standard screw. You can get this you know, online. This is made by tie connector and that group over there. This is very standard hardware. You could replace this if you didn't like it. The nice thing about that is that you could go online and get another variant of this type of screw, or the zirconium version of this screw, and you could change it if you wanted to. So there's sort of a give and a take with using established hardware. I do like that. It is standard Torx construction. We'll look back here at the handle screws that are blue titanium screws, also with Torx. I like that this mirrors itself on the backside and then also functions as an over travel stop. I think that this is a popular option for including an over travel stop. You will see that in a lot of different knives, including this Gareth Bull small chamois right here. I like that design element as an over travel stop. Moving back to the handle here, this is where the CNC prowess of the Skiffs comes into play. You can see with every generation of knife that they make, their milling becomes a little bit more complex, This has a beautiful wavy pattern. So some people might call that a seashell type pattern. That's been popularized by Shirogorov models with regards to that sort of patterning. One of the things that I really enjoy is the way that it flows onto the pocket clip. The continuity of the lines in the pocket clip is really awesome. They actually also offer the milling to be continued onto the pivot collars here. And that is truly a trippy effect. I really like those knives. In fact, I have an order in for one of these models, and I have asked them to do that with mine. So I look forward to that. That's not coming until early 2021. The wait list is quite long, but you can actually get in touch with them and ask them right now to get on the list for this particular knife. The CNC machining is done with beauty and precision. Take a look at the lock bar cutout. That's just really cool looking to me. The milling continues into there, and it's got these beautiful swoopy swirls. Very cool. And they are also considerate of the carry and use of the knife. If you'll notice under the head of the pocket clip right there, they have indeed milled away or milled it in such a way that it is flat underneath there. I hope you can appreciate that from the angles right here. But that makes it easy to go in and out of the pocket. The pocket clip itself, although it's a bit long, it serves a functional purpose in that it puts this contact point very far away from the lock bar cutout. One of the things that annoys me the most about certain knives, I'll bring out maybe the Hinderer XM18. This is not a perfect example, but some knives do not leave a lot of clearance by the lock bar cutout, and so your pants can get caught there just a little bit. That's not a perfect example, but the Drifter has done away with that by moving the pocket clip contact point way far forward and leaving quite a nice gap there and a relatively smooth lock bar cutout with its milling like that. So very easy in and out of the pocket. This pocket clip works very well. I like to use a functional test. I call it the athletic shorts test. If I can put the pocket clip in and out of the pocket on some very light athletic shorts, and the clip works very well, that is a green for me, a green light for me, a 100. So it does that very well. This one has relatively simple blue barrel spacers. They do offer the option of a long back spacer in whatever material you want. I find those very attractive. I will be optioning for that on mine. This one came very, very, very centered. Beautifully, beautifully done. Let's look at some of the details around the edges of the knife. These are the things that really make a knife go from very standard to very special. You have chamfering right here that makes it comfortable to disengage the lock bar. I will also note there is no lock bar insert on this knife. It is titanium on steel. However, there is no stick, and there's excellent geometry, and there's early lockup, so I doubt that that is really a factor. One of the things that I did notice, and this is very subtle, and it takes an aficionado to appreciate this, there is mild chamfering going up the back of the spine. Here there is no chamfer back here, so it all looks very flush. But as you roll up to the area where you deploy the knife, those sharp edges can become a little bit uncomfortable, and so what you can see is that they've actually put in a graduated chamfer that goes all the way out to the top right here, so that is very comfortable for the finger to rest right there. This knife has been heavily engineered and considered, and that is what I found in the Accomplice all those months ago, is that the details on this knife are what make this very special. On the surface, it may appear to be relatively simple in its appearance and construction, but it's the details, the perfectly done hand rubbed satin, the perfectly done mirrored flats, the very consistent blade bevels, including the sharpened bevel right there. It does have a forward finger choil if you choose to choke up on the knife like that, so it does provide a nice grip area right there. There is a thumb ramp on the blade that allows for very comfortable holding. The details around the handle, and then you combine that with the action and the detent. What do I think of this knife? I think it is so good that I'm going to buy one. That's how good it is. You can judge how much I like a knife by how much money I'm willing to spend on buying one, and I'm going to option one for the full spec in a few months, because this knife is absolutely beautifully executed. In the world of up-and-coming CNC makers, it's important to remember who truly are the greats, and the Skiff Made Blade team is certainly one of them. This knife definitely deserves your attention. It is significantly better than you think it is. It is better than I am conveying in this video. It is extremely well done. If you can get your hands on any Skiff Made blade, I highly recommend it. You will not be disappointed in the quality and the craftsmanship and the execution. I am absolutely blown away, and I'm thrilled that I am on the list to get one of these knives. you should definitely go and check out their website and their Instagram. Go ahead and go to my Instagram at Dr. Frunkey. Click like and subscribe to this video. Leave some comments down below telling me what you think about the Skiff Drifter right here. I didn't even show you on the inside. This one actually is Drifter number 6. And they have the word Drifter on the inside there. Maybe you can see that in the light if I can get it angulated just right. But I really like this knife so much that I'm going to get one. So I don't know how much more of an enthusiastic yes I can give to a product. But yes, this knife is amazing. So thank you again to Treddy for allowing me to check this one out. And I will see you guys on the next video. This is Dr. Frunkey saying take care.